Seward, who had most likely come to keep Lincoln company, remained only 2 days on April 1st. April 1st! April 1st, 1865. There it is! April 1st, 1865. Abraham Lincoln accompanied Mary Todd back to Washington, Seward. The Lincolns had apparently decided that after her public outburst, she would be better off in the White House. Old Mary Todd with her damn public outburst. She would be better off in the White House away from prying reporters. Moreover, Abraham Lincoln had related to her a dream in which the White House had caught fire, and Mary Todd wanted to assure herself that all was well. Once she was aboard the steamer heading north, her spirits lifted abruptly. Fellow passenger Carl Schurz. He's a German, Carl Schurz. Kindergarten. Didn't Carl Schurz founded kindergarten? He did something else too. He talked with Mary Todd on the voyage. She was overwhelmingly charming to me, he wrote to his wife. She chided me for not visiting her, overpowered me with invitations, and finally had me driven to my hotel in her own state carriage. I learned more state secrets in a few hours than I could otherwise in a year. She is an astounding person. He learned more state secrets in a few hours with her. Mary Todd. I guess Carl Schurz was okay, right? Carl Schurz, he's been triple vouched for. All that day, Lincoln haunted the telegraph office at City Point, anxiously awaiting news from Grant returning to the River Queen. He could see the flash of the cannon in the distance, signaling that the battle for Petersburg had begun. Almost all night he walked up and down the Petersburg. Almost all night he walked up and down the deck. Crook recalled pausing now and then to listen or to look out into the darkness to see if he could see anything. I have never seen such suffering in the face of any man as was in his that night. He does have a face. He just suffered so much. Lincoln has seen some shit. God damn, Lincoln. Why does your face look like it's seen a lot of shit? Because it has. 7 years ago, it did. The battle was intense, but by early morning, motherfucker's a vampire slayer, I'm telling you. The Federals had broken through Petersburg's outer lines of defense and had almost reached General Lee's headquarters at the Turnbull House. Realizing he could no longer hold on, Lee ordered his troops to withdraw from both Petersburg and Richmond. That evening, Lincoln received the news that Grant had Petersburg completely enveloped from river below to river above and had taken about 12,000 prisoners. Grant invited the president to visit him in Petersburg the following day. Earlier that day, Lincoln had moved from the luxurious River Queen to the compact Malvern, Admiral Porter's flagship. Concerned by the cramped quarters, Porter had offered Lincoln his bed, but he positively declined it. Porter recalled choosing instead the smallest kind of a room, 6 feet long by 4.5 feet wide. The next morning he insisted he had slept well, but teasingly remarked that you can't put a long blade into a short scabbard. Realizing that the president's 6'4" frame must have overhung the bed considerably, Porter got carpenters to knock down the wall, increasing the size of both the room and the bed. When Lincoln awoke the next morning, he announced with delight that a greater miracle than ever happened last night. I shrank 6 inches in length and about a foot sideways to reach Grant, who was waiting in a comfortable-looking brick house with a yard in front on Market Street in Petersburg. Lincoln had to ride over the battlefields littered with dead and dying soldiers. Years later, his bodyguard could recall the sight of one man with a bullet hole through his forehead and another with both arms shot away. As Lincoln absorbed the sorrowful scene, Crook noticed that his face settled into its old lines of sadness. By the time he reached U.S. Grant, he had recovered himself. U.S. Grant's aide, Horace Porter, watched as Lincoln dismounted in the street and came in through the front gate with long and rapid strides. His face beaming with delight, he seized General Grant's hand as the general stepped forward to greet him and stood shaking it for some time. Lincoln showed such elation that Porter doubted whether he had ever experienced a happier moment in his life. Lincoln and his lieutenant, general conferred for about an hour and a half on the piazza in front of the house while curious citizens strolled by. Though no word had arrived yet from Richmond, Virginia, U.S. Grant surmised that with the fall of Petersburg, Lee had no choice but to evacuate the capital and move west along the Danville Road, hoping to escape to North Carolina, in which case the Federals would attempt to get ahead of him and cut him off. U.S. Grant had hoped to receive word of Richmond's fall while still in the president's company, but when no message arrived, he felt compelled to join his troops in the field.